Since the dawn of time, man has always strived to look absolutely jacked wherever he went, and many nations in the ancient world strive for this perfection of the body. However, it was the ancient Greeks, home to the world's first Jimbro, Hercules, who first decided to take the quest for infinite gains to the next level by holding Olympic Games to demonstrate the ancient Greeks' Olympic prowess and to honor their gods. I'm Nico, and today we're going to go over the workout routines and diets of the ancient Greeks and see if they can still hold a light to the modern diet plans and workout routines of our modern world. The layout of an ancient Greek gym mostly consisted of a large open field and a closed-off portico with a bunch of different separate fields for certain exercises, such as a range for javelin throwing and discus throwing, and a large group of sand pits for weightlifting, wrestling, and long jumping. All of this had to be done while completely naked. This law was enacted because the ancient Greeks were incredibly gay. I'm joking. This was actually done just because the ancient Greeks did it because they believed that exercising and also playing the Olympic Games while completely naked was the only true way they could honor their gods. In the gyms, not much equipment existed, and there was a roof portico that I mentioned before for the Greeks to exercise in the rain. However, you couldn't really do much in the portico because it was mostly just like a kind of open, not really a fence, but rather it looked like the inside of a Greek temple without the inside area, and all you could really do in it was run around and do a little bit of wrestling, but no one likes to get slammed onto a marble tile, so that wasn't really fun. So later on in the years, as the years advanced on, the portico slowly melted down and became an odeon, which was mostly used after exercising for the athletes to discuss philosophy, for poets to read their poems, orators to practice their speeches, and musicians to play in front of a live audience. Milo of Croton was an absolute badass of a man. Known as the greatest wrestler in all of antiquity, he won over 6 Olympic Games in the wrestling department. He was nothing short of Hercules. Milo is most famously known for the story of his completely insane, unorthodox training method, which led to the modern-day progressive training. The story said that every day for 4 years, when walking to the gym, he would carry a baby calf on his shoulders. As the calf grew, his strength grew with it, until it got to the point where this beast could carry the fully grown bull. When the bull was fully grown, however, he killed and ate the entire thing in one day. He was later dubbed the strongest man in all of the known world. Despite the fact that Milo of Croton's story is at a probably 99% chance of being fake, it didn't really matter as it inspired hundreds and hundreds of ancient Greek and Roman Olympic weightlifters and wrestlers. This is because of the fact that he used progressive training. And an example of how he used progressive training is that if he tried to lift the cow once a week, the cow would have probably outgrown his strength after a few months. However, because of his unwavering commitment to his infinite gains, lifting the bull day after day, he was able to match his strength with the growth of the ox and become incredibly strong, which made him worthy of being considered an equal to Hercules himself. In ancient Greece, the workout routines were different for every man as they all performed different sports and all had their own personal trainers if they were Olympic athletes. There are unfortunately not that many surviving documents of Olympian workouts, but I'm going to go over a rundown of mostly what they did. For example, long jumpers would practice by simply performing their game over and over again until they got good at it. However, except in the gym, there would be only one difference, which was that they would hold small semi-discs in their hands made of stone or iron that would progressively get heavier and heavier the better they got. These were called halters, and they would run and jump with these to develop their arms and shoulders, and also for the Olympic Games, when they wouldn't use any of these, they would go absolutely flying on the sand pit when they didn't have to use these. During the Olympic Games, of course. And the other one, which is probably my favorite, is weightlifting, which there wasn't really any equipment for this, and what the Greeks would do is they usually would just find the heaviest stones imaginable, see who can lift them over their head, and throw them. The throwing part really didn't matter, it just kind of was there to look cool. And good news is we actually have a lot of archaeological evidence for this, especially this is probably one of my favorite pieces of Greek archaeology. It's a large stone that was excavated at a gym in Greece, which it was a 143 kilogram stone with a little engraving on it that said, Vivos, son of Vivon, could lift this rock over his head. Other training included discus throwing, which basically consisted of grabbing a stone, spinning around, and throwing it as fast as you can, or javelin throwing, which is just throwing a stick and as far as humanly possible. The other form of other form of training was boxing, which is basically just obviously what we do is just punching a regular bag, and also shadow boxing, which is the art of boxing but not actually hitting anything. You're just punching air. That's why it's called shadow boxing. And now, onto the ancient Greek diet. Sadly, there are not that many records of ancient Greek diets, but the good news is I have two of them here, which I'm actually going to read you out in a second. But from what we have, and to most people's surprises, the majority of ancient Greek diets, contrary to popular belief, were actually vegetarian up until around the late AD times, as the ancient Greeks didn't have much access to meats, and usually when they did have access to meats, they would save these for the beginning of the Olympic Games and also other sacrifices, because after that they would honor their gods and then have a large feast with the meats. Later on in the AD times, the diets would switch over to a more meat-based diet, as said before. And an example of this is a quote from the athletic trainer Bonasias, who shows us a small window into what was considered the new diet over the old, by describing one of his athletes, who is sadly unnamed in this. In it, he says, quote, he won 2 victories over the Dolichos at Olympia, the same number in the Pythian Games, 3 at the Isthmian, and 5 at the Nemean. He is said to first thought of eating meat as part of his training diet. Until then, the food for athletes was cheese, fresh out of the basket. Another quote about diets was from the ancient Greek Olympic athlete Philostratos, who says, "Doctors fed us white bread made of ground meal sprinkled with poppy seeds, and introduced the eating of fish, contrary to previous medical practice. They also introduced the use of pork with a collection of wonderful theories. They told us that the flesh of herds had been driven down to the sea should be considered useless because of sea garlic, which the shores and beaches are full of. Likewise, we should be on guard against pigs raised near rivers, since they may have eaten crabs. The only pork suitable for an athlete's diet, they told us, was from pigs fed on acorns and kernelberries. From all this, we're able to form a pretty good basis of what they ate and how they exercised. We can see that despite their flaws, through our proof of their bodies via ancient Greek sculptures and bronzes, that the workout routines and Greek diets were pretty effective for the most part. But now, for the final part, the debate on whether modern or ancient Greek workout routines are better. And now for the final part and conclusion of this video. My opinion. Are ancient Greek diets better than modern day diets? My opinion simply is no. And if you're wondering why, it's simply because there is more food available to us now than there was before. And to kind of counter the only argument against this, which is that ancient food was simply healthier than modern food because there was no added preservatives or no sugars or anything, I completely agree with that in every way. However, if you want that, simply just make your own food and make sure to be very, very, very careful when you eat to make sure there is no sort of added preservatives or any added sort of materials that you do not want in your food. So that is my opinion on ancient Greek diets, and now onto the official final part of the video, ancient Greek versus modern workout routines. My opinion on ancient Greek versus modern workout routines, I would probably have to say that is up for debate, but I'd probably have to say I think that modern workout routines, depending on how you do them, are better. Keyword depending on how you do them. The reason I say this is because when it comes to ancient Greek workout routines, many will say it's better because simply you had to use every part of your body every single minute when you were doing these workouts. All muscles during the workouts were being used and were being worked. Nothing was left behind. But however, in modern day workouts, when you're doing maybe bench presses or when you're doing certain bicep curls, you're neglecting parts of your body such as the legs. You're neglecting your legs. And with our workouts, now we isolate muscles, which sometimes can be a good or bad thing. It can be a good thing is if we balance it out. One day we can just work these muscles like crazy. Next day we work the other ones through the whole week we have worked everything. And then we can get that kind of shredded look that we want, that kind of Hercules Greek god statue look that we want, way faster than that of the ancient Greeks, because they're working everything, but we're just working one muscle like crazy and slowly building every single one until they're all balanced out and we look absolutely shredded. However, ancient Greeks do not have this luxury, sadly. However, certain people will allow themselves to almost neglect certain parts of the body, like skipping certain days of certain parts of the body. I know never skipping leg days have a big meme, but that's actually a problem people can do. People can actually skip leg day, and then sometimes they'll neglect their legs, and their bodies will kind of look weird, and that's why it's called bodybuilding, because you're building your body how you want to. And yeah, to end, I guess that's my opinion on ancient Greek versus modern workout routines. And thanks for watching, and tune in for next week when I do some more videos. And I'm Nico, and this is Pillars of History.